Hi, my name is Jazzy, and welcome back to me talking about movies. Today we're going to be talking about the animated film Mitchells vs. the Machines, which was released on Netflix.
Who are these unstoppable warriors?
We're the Mitchells, the only people who can save the world. I'm super sorry, everyone.
The Mitchells vs. the Machines is an animated film directed and co-written by Mike Rianda. The movie is about a teenager named Katie Mitchell who's been recently accepted into film school, and due to having a strained relationship with her dad, he decides to take the family on a road trip to take her to college. Unfortunately, while traveling, the world's technology decides to rise up and overtake the human population, and it's up to the Mitchells to save the world. Now, when the movie's premise came out and when it was originally advertised, a lot of people were concerned that the movie's point was to condemn our use of technology. However, I can assure you that while there are some jokes poking fun at our over-reliance on technology,
Does anyone want to take pictures of my food?
Hey lady, can you unbox this in front of me?
the main point of the movie is not trying to say that technology is bad. Through Katie, the movie is able to show how technology is actually a great creative outlet. Since Katie is an aspiring filmmaker, during the movie's introduction, it shows her creating, directing, and filming a series of films called Dog Cop, which is honestly a movie I would probably want to watch myself, especially if Katie herself did direct it. You know, if she was a real person and not a fictional character.
Maybe sweating like a dog, but I'm not rolling over.
Plus, not to spoil too much, but the use of technology is essential to the movie's ending. As I mentioned before, the movie is co-written and directed by Mike Rianda, who had previously worked as a creative director and writer on Gravity Falls, which I'm a huge fan of, if you can't tell by my little waddles here. I also have a Dipper hat, but I should have left it down. I also have a Dipper hat. Fortunately, my head's too big, so I'm going to wear it. Now, if you've ever seen Gravity Falls, you'll also see the same humor on that show in this movie. There's so many funny moments in this movie, it's hard to pick my favorite. A lot of the jokes work due to a combination of the animation, creative writing, and perfect delivery from the actors. Speaking of the animation, the movie is visually stunning. I love how they found a way to include something interesting on screen without making it too busy. There are also a few moments I would recommend pausing so you can read and get an extra laugh, particularly one involving a mule. I'm not going to add any context to that. I also enjoyed how there are moments where they blended animation with live action, especially for a joke. Now, I'm not an expert on animation techniques, but I can tell that they definitely put a lot of work into this movie. The animation team definitely did their best to be innovative, and they succeeded. While the movie is 3D animated, there are a lot of moments that remind me a lot of 2D animation, or traditional 2D animation. There are a lot of times where the animation did remind me of shows like Gravity Falls or even The Simpsons.
And now I present tricking Rick Mitchell into kissing a dog.
Behold, the mad... Ow! It licked my mouth again!
Hey, Dad, can you check the trunk?
Yeah, sure. What? Oh, nasty! Dang it, Katie! Dang it, Katie!
The writing is also very tight. Not tight as in cool, but more like tight, like as in it's... I don't know, it is cool, but I'm just saying I'm not trying to use like an early 2000s slang or anything. But hopefully you know what I mean. We're able to get a clear understanding of each character right from their introductions. While the movie's main plot has to do with saving the world, there's also a plot about family conflict, which is primarily between Katie and her dad Rick. What I like about the conflict between these two characters is that both of them are portrayed sympathetically. We're not meant to see one character as more in the right than the other. I also appreciate how the center of the film is between the relationship between a father and daughter, which isn't often portrayed in movies in comparison to father-son relationships. I think we've kind of run the course of most father-son movies at this point. In fact, I think they probably should have ended after a Goofy movie because they pretty much nailed it. I also like how the conflict between this particular father-daughter relationship isn't the normal teen baggage. Like, for example, where the daughter is dressing provocatively and the father's against that, or the daughter is dating and the dad is overprotective. The conflict here has to do with both of them having different interests and neither of them really being considerate of one another, which, once again, is more along the lines of a lot of father-son conflicts in movies. And I really appreciated that just because that's, I would say, while I'm sure those kind of conflicts are typical in a lot of father-daughter relationships, it's not the same, it's not exactly universal. I would say it's probably more common for a father and daughter to have a strained relationship because of things like this, where like they don't respect each other, or they're not caring of each other's feelings or interests, or they just have different points of view. That's just far more common and realistic. So I appreciated this movie going against the typical norm and trying something different, and therefore having more substance to it. When it comes to the main cast, we have Abby Jacobson, Danny McBride, Maya Rudolph, and Eric Andre. Now, I'm not really the biggest fan of using celebrity voice talent in favor of veteran voice actors in movies, although I'm mainly annoyed when it's clear that they only do that for marketing purposes. Looking at you, DreamWorks. Although I am okay if the actors are cast due to their talent or because they're perfect for the role, which I think is what happened here. The actors in this movie were able to nail their lines perfectly for some of the best jokes in the movie, but they were also able to portray some of the more emotional or sympathetic scenes in the movie as well. Danny McBride probably surprised me the most. I already knew he could be pretty funny, but he definitely surprised me with some of the more emotional scenes in the movie. His performance really allowed us to sympathize with Rick. My Abby Jacobson is amazing as well, of course. Loved her in Broad City, and I think she was perfectly cast as Katie, just making her both relatable and lovable, and of course funny. Rudolph, who plays Linda, was of course amazing as always. Although I am sad we didn't get an opportunity of her saying "bubble bath."
Only take bubble baths.
The movie's director, Mike Miranda, also lent his voice to the main cast as a dinosaur-obsessed Aaron. Even though his voice doesn't exactly fit the age of his character, because I think he's meant to be like 10 or something, and very much sounds like a grown man.
Hi, would you like to talk to me about dinosaurs? No. Okay, thank you. Hi, would you like to talk to me about dinosaurs?
I felt it still worked, and it lent a lot to the character's awkwardness. I'm not sure if I've said this before on my channel, but I love when a movie's able to combine humor with heart. It's not an easy feat to juggle funny moments with more emotional moments. When it's done incorrectly, either the funny moments don't land as well, or the emotional moments just feel insincere. The movie was very successful in making me tear up from laughing and then tear up from crying. I love seeing the portrayal of a dysfunctional family that loves each other. Especially at the end of the day, they're far more common than the picture-perfect kind. Overall, love this movie so much. I would pretty much recommend watching this movie. Even if you don't have a kid, just watch it. It's enjoyable. Sometimes I worry that I'm only covering movies that I love, or at least most of the movies I've done, they tend to be very positive. So I do wonder if they tend to be boring. So I don't know, I'm kind of hoping I can review maybe a bad movie one of these days. Maybe that'll be more interesting. But at the same time, I do like talking about movies that I love and just kind of gushing over them. Didn't really have anything too critical. I wouldn't say it's perfect, because I don't think a perfect movie really exists. But I would say this movie was pretty close to perfect. So, once again, I would just recommend watching this if you're an animation fan, if you love to laugh, if like to be reminded of internet culture. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you've seen this movie already, if you saw a trailer for the movie and you were interested, let me know if my review helped change your mind. Also, of course, please feel free to recommend any movies that you would like me to talk about or review. Anyway, thanks for watching.